All right, welcome. Great to see everybody. Before we get started, just want to make sure that the mic is working good. So if the mic's good, please do me a favor. Just give me a thumbs up. Let me know if you can hear me. Perfect. You also, just so you know, through the program, I'm going to ask you a few questions if that's okay. You'll find in the box, there's going to be the 3 dots. Click that and click chat. That way you have the chat box ready. If you have any questions throughout the program, leave me a message and just know where it is so you can send those questions quickly. All right.
Great. Jason, I wanted to just interrupt you for a second and introduce you to everyone here. I've had the pleasure to meet Jason in person back in 2017, I believe, in Portugal, and he presented for us, and he was a totally a different speaker and someone who came with a really different approach to sharing the knowledge. And his presentation was all about this little voice we have inside of our heads that often stops us from moving, forward and taking some action to get better at something. And I really love that. And since that time, we stayed in touch. He actually helped me with getting on stage for the first time. He was my coach during that, but his specialties are actually increasing sales. And he works with many different companies and often 2 million plus in revenue who are doing at least $2 million plus. And he has this really magician type of way to zoom in on how you can increase the sales in your business by anywhere from 15 to 33%. And that is why he is presenting for us today. So Jason, take it over.
Thank you, Ivana. I greatly do appreciate it. As mentioned, today is going to be all how to predictably increase your sales by 33% in 90 days or less. Now, before we really get into it, I just want to let you know a little bit of background about myself, if that would be okay. Perfect. Thank you. So what I do is I help successful entrepreneurs scale their business, unite their team behind the mission, and more importantly, grow the one key element that is vital to getting results. Because everybody in business talks about scaling the business, franchising the business, doubling their income, etc. But here's the truth. You can't scale your business if you don't first scale your sales. The challenge being is most people are terrified of sales. I don't know what it is, but something about the topic scares the crap out of people, or they either know nothing about it and try to avoid it like the plague, or the complete opposite, they already think they know everything. But here's the truth. You can't, like I said, you can't scale your business if you don't first scale your sales. But the truth is you can't scale your sales if you have a losing team or a broken system. And so that's what we're going to be focusing on today, is how to scale your business by first scaling your sales and finding the breaks within the system itself. All right. Now, during this time, we're going to be focusing on a few different key areas to get you results. But I wanted to let you know one element that I think is vital first. A lot of people talk about getting results. You've probably heard it before, yeah? What they don't actually talk about, the biggest challenge that a lot of people face, or a lot of things that they run into, is they work with someone who promises results. But what they're not taking into account is what will happen if it does not work. What is the impact of spending thousands of dollars on Facebook ads, for example, just to have 0 leads come through the door? Or the impact of putting all your time, energy, and effort on a product or service that nobody buys? That's why I've spent most of my career working on making those risks just disappear. Right? So not only are we going to look at how do you scale your business, scale your results quickly, we're also going to look at the key elemental factors that get you results without putting all kinds of risk on the front end and putting your business in jeopardy. Does that work for everybody? Great. So as I mentioned, in this program, we're going to identify exactly where you are today in your business, because in order to go where you want to go, you first have to know where you're starting. Then I'm going to share that one thing that if you get this right, will turn your process from selling into customers coming to you. Because the truth, for me at least, is I hate sales. It has a dirty word to it. Everybody's always fearful of like the used car salesman. Anybody have someone try to aggressively sell you before, or after you buy, you have that hesitation of buyer's remorse? Ever had that before? Yeah. So even though I teach sales, I approach sales from a perspective of service, from the idea of giving the customers what they want and need so that they come to you. And even better, there's one thing you can do that if you apply it will completely change the way your business is run, because your customers will come to you asking for support instead of you having to go and push them over and over and over again. How many of you want that kind of result? All right. The biggest impact, though, is that there's three key areas. Now, this is a misunderstanding in most businesses. Most businesses feel like they have to have all these different things in place in order to make it work. But the truth is, there's only three key areas that if you focus on, you can accelerate results. And depending on where you are in your business today, which is what we're going to do in a moment, we're going to start there. By identifying where you are today will tell you which one of those key areas you've got to focus on first, so that you can increase your results quickly without trying to do 100 different things at once. All right. Now, before we do that, I'll tell you a little bit about myself. As I mentioned, my name's Jason. I help successful entrepreneurs increase their sales and profits by 15 to 33% in 12 weeks or less. But of course, it wasn't always that way. Maybe you hear my accent. The truth is, I was deaf as a child. Couldn't hear, couldn't speak, took about a decade of speech therapy and a dozen surgeries on my ears just so I could speak English. And for me, there's a picture of me on the board there, about 14 years old. For me, fortunately, I love magic. And actually, right at the end of that ribbon is a big white bunny gonna pop right out. I used magic as a way to face the true thing, the real thing that stops most entrepreneurs. I used magic as a way to face my fear, my lack of confidence, my social anxiety. You see, at that age, I had such a severe lisp that barely anybody could understand me. In fact, that audience is a group of kids who all had hearing impairments, and off to the side was someone doing sign language. Most of my show was silent because I was so terrified of opening my mouth. And this was my first step to facing my fear and actually getting in front of an audience. So I'm fortunate that I used magic as a way to face that fear and to discover the real secret to building our confidence in ourselves, in our product, in our service. And because every single day we're selling, are we not? Every single day you are selling you to someone. How many of you would agree with that? Yeah. From there, I continued to push myself every day until I actually became a national speaking champion. Now, think about that for a second. That shy little boy who would hide behind his mother's skirt, the one at 17, never hid from the world, at 27 years old, standing in front of thousands of people, sharing his personal story. When I think back on it, it's hard to believe, really, the steps that I've taken. And I don't say it because I want you to feel like I'm special or anything like that. We all have challenges. We all have obstacles. We all have something that can hold us back, but we also have something that can launch us forward as well. And so this was just my personal story. And I've been very fortunate to travel the world, meet individuals like Ivana. What was it? Portugal? It was Portugal, right? It wasn't in Dublin? In Portugal, yeah. With Declan's event. Yes. And talk about things like little voice and the self-sabotaging beliefs we have. I talk about them because it's the very thing that was taking me out of my game for years. Now, I'm fortunate that I get to travel the world, pre-COVID, of course, working with business professionals like you and in multi-million-dollar companies building their mission to get them out in front of the world so that you can have a nice ripple effect across this globe. Now, typically, I usually work with companies that have 25 to 100 employees, but recently we've started really focusing on getting what was working for the big companies and applying those very same formulas for smaller entrepreneurs, solopreneurs, and individuals like yourself. So whether you are a team of 1 or a team of 100, not to worry, I'll adjust the content both ways so that you can apply this information to you or to your team. And best part is, if you're a solopreneur or a team of 1 and you're looking to build your team, I'll show you how you connect those dots as well. All right. Before we do that, though, I need to ask your permission. How many of you notice I ask a lot of questions? Yeah. Anybody annoyed that I ask a lot of questions yet? No. Anybody tired of raising their hand? Maybe. All right. Thank you. So the reason why I ask a lot of questions is for two reasons. One, studies show you retain more of the information, that you actually remember more of this information if you're awake. Sorry, that's about as good as my humor gets here. No, the truth is, though, for memory retention, the reason why I ask a lot of questions, it's the same reason why I'll use PowerPoints for part of it. I'm also going to use flip charts, color, images, words, symbols. The reason why is because my goal is that you retain upwards of 80% of this content. How would you, if you're going to invest your time in me to learn this knowledge, I'm going to invest my time in ensuring that you get the most out of it. That's why I'd like to ask for permission that one, well, if I ask questions, even if you're on mute, shout it out. Studies show that if you respond, it increases your memory retention. Get a paper and a pen, write this down. You will increase even more retention from there. Participate, ask questions down below. The goal is that you stay with this and get as much value as possible. All right, so Rich and Dylan and Kelly and everybody, thank you so much. Remember, leave your comments down below. If you have any questions during the program, send them my way. I can see it. If I miss it, just send another one. That's okay. And I'll do my best to answer them along the way. I am going to, however, speak very, very fast if that's okay, because I have a lot of content I want to get to you, which is why I suggest take those notes. All right. As well, a couple other things. I'm a big believer, even though I teach in the area of sales, I'm a big believer in service first. So I'm going to focus on the value. That's really my goal here, is to get as much value as possible. At the end of the program, if it's okay with you, I'll be happy to tell you where you can get more. If you're interested, I'll wait until the end and show you what the next step would be. Would that be okay for everybody? Perfect. I also have a gift for you just for being on this webinar. I have a free gift. Actually, Ivana, it's the gift I gave you. If that's okay, I'm going to give this gift to everyone else as well. The one that will, I guarantee, just for being on the webinar will increase your sales and make you money, because I'm a true believer that if you're going to work with me, you should make the income first. So I do everything possible to make sure that you make, as a result of this time, you make profit. Because why else are we in this, right? Now, obviously, there's a bigger meaning, a bigger mission. We'll get to that in a moment. But for now, we're going to get forward. Is everybody good with that? Awesome. Thank you. So the key message, sales is the blood of your business. Like I said, I hate the word sales, not because I'm afraid of sales. I love sales, but I hate what it stands for. So many people, when they think of sales, what do you think of? Did car salesman come to mind? Did someone pushing you to buy something you didn't want? What was your experience? All these negative feelings and emotions are associated with the word sales, which is why the first thing I do on any team is I change the name. We do sales, or do we do service? Maybe admissions, enrollments. In my national entertainment agency, when we had magicians, jugglers, unicyclists, fire performers, aerial silk artists, we performed for Justin Bieber, Lennox Lewis, Bill Cosby, etc. We had booking coordinators, entertainment specialists. Do they do sales? Yes. But the real goal was to serve and support your client. How many of you would agree? Yeah? Excellent. So that's why I like to avoid the word sales. But the truth is, if you're going to look at the brutal, honest facts, you can't have a business if you don't have sales and income. Does everybody agree? Excellent. So let me ask you this. For you and your business, what is the hardest part you currently face about sales? Go ahead, type it in the chat box below. Let me know. What is the biggest challenge you currently face when it comes to sales? Whether it's a fear, whether it's a physical obstacle, maybe it's your leads, maybe it's marketing, maybe it's handling objections. People saying it's too expensive, or you don't know what you're talking about, or why would I trust you? Maybe it's the objection, right? What is it? Handling objections. Excellent, Ivana. Yeah, so being able to turn that no into a yes, or turn someone's concern or hesitation, turning that into a possible sale, or really getting them to see what the true obstacle really is. Is that correct, Ivana? Awesome. Thank you. So what else? Keep going. Any comments? I'd love to know, because I'm going to tailor the program specifically to you based on your answers. So leave me a comment. What is the biggest and hardest challenge you face when it comes to sales? While you're doing that, I'd like to tell you a story. See, a lot of my programs, I like to test things. I consider business an art and a science. See, the science is the formulas. It's the foundational things. It's the things that work time in and time out without fail. And so I test and measure. The artistic side is the part that you add to it, the part that makes you real, right? The part that makes you original and what you bring to the table. So I can show you a formula that's guaranteed to work. It's how you apply it and add your own magic that's going to make the difference. One of those examples is right here. This is Warriors Heart. They're the #1 Warriors treatment center in the world today for medical, drug, and alcohol treatment. Now, these are absolutely incredible people. Have you ever heard of Robert Kiyosaki by chance? Yeah. So this is Josh Lannon on the right in the t-shirt, Lisa Lannon in the middle, and Tom Spooner on the left. Tom Spooner is a Green Beret and a highly decorated veteran and respected individual in the military community. Lisa is a police officer from Vegas, and Josh is one of the most incredible entrepreneurs I've ever met. Josh and Lisa Lannon are advisors to Robert Kiyosaki. They are considered one of his star students and have built incredible businesses time after time again. Now, the truth is, even though they are extremely knowledgeable, very successful, have built multiple businesses and scaled them quickly, even they knew they had challenges. So several years ago, they gave me a call and I was talking to Josh, and he told me a situation with his team. The challenge they had was not with their leads. They were getting hundreds of leads every single month. First off, how many of you would like 100 leads a month? Right? Yeah. It wasn't with their team either. In fact, they had 2 advocates who were extremely disciplined, loyal, and were there for the mission, not the money. How many of you would like to have a team member that's there because of what you do, not because of the paycheck? Now, the paycheck's a bonus, right? You got to have a paycheck in there. You got to get, it's got to be a give and get. But these individuals were dedicated to the mission. But even though they had incredible team, phenomenal leads, amazing brand and positioning, the facility was still at half capacity. So we got on a call and we met with the team. Now, just so you know, the reason why I'm telling you this story is because I want you to learn from their experience. See, it's a lot easier to learn from other people's experiences than trying to make it your own. That way you can avoid their obstacles and you go hit your own, right? Does this make sense? So when I got on the call and I started talking to their team, it took about 30 minutes to identify the issue. What we had found is the real obstacle, even though they were dedicated, they were driven, they worked hard, the real obstacle was up here. You see, both of those individuals were warriors. And what they were doing is they're on the phone telling warriors that they need to invest tens of thousands of dollars to solve a problem that was caused by them going to war or going and serving their country. And deep down in a subconscious level, these individuals felt like they were betraying their brothers and sisters. Think about it for a moment. You go, you give your life, literally, and everything you have to serve, come home and you have a problem, and now it's costing tens of thousands of dollars to try to get the solution. By as soon as we identified that, though, 30 minutes, we did a quick exercise, got them really, really clear on what they really do as advocates. We took sales out of the game and turned them to advocates. They are there to advocate for the warrior. They are there to support the warrior. We changed the definition. And more importantly, we changed the mindset to what they really provide and focused on what they truly do to save those warriors' lives. I worked with them for over 3 years. When I say save the warriors' lives, I'm telling the truth. Without a doubt, without going into any graphic detail, there were many times you talked someone off a ledge. It was not uncommon for something to be at that extreme. And these individuals were on the front lines. So it was more important than ever to make sure that their mind was in the right place. How many of you would agree? Yeah. But here's the side effect of doing that shift. On a given week, a great week was 2 sales. A good week was 1 sale. A week with 0 sales was not uncommon. 30 minutes and 1 exercise. The next day, both of them made a sale. That week, 5. Over the course of the next 6 months, 5 to 7 sales a week became normal. Recently, last time I checked, I worked with them. That 3-month contract turned into just shy of 3.5, 4 years. When that came, Those two individuals, Justin is now the director, runs the entire department. Blake became the head of outreach and has moved on to great, big, amazing things. In fact, there's an entire team brought together, right? Because all we did was identify what was really going on. What we did next was change the focus, get them to laser in on the real purpose of what they were doing. What is their real mission? And now they're the best team in the world for medical, drug, and alcohol rehabilitation. #1 admissions team in the world. How would you like that kind of impact? The best part is I can guarantee none of them do it for the money. Every one of them does it for the mission. Now, I'm blessed to have been on that team. They're phenomenal, phenomenal individuals. Mike right there in the middle. That's Justin, Kaylee, Mike, Blake. Ella's off in the background. Ella is, actually, I won't go into the stories because I'm not sure what I can say, but I can honestly say these people have saved lives. And it all came back to just correcting that one thing, that one obstacle that held them back. So let me ask you, for you so far, like I said, we can learn from other people's experiences. We can learn through stories. What has been most valuable for you so far? Do me a favor. Type it in the chat box. What is the most powerful part of that story so far? Yeah, exactly. How important it is to change the mindset, the focus on serving. I completely agree. It's amazing how many people avoid this topic just because of, like I said, the word sales. I can't say it enough. That if your team has the wrong definition about sales or the wrong definition about what they do, it can has a massive negative impact on your business. So it's extremely important to get that focused right. Yeah, perfect. Thank you. So let's go on. And any other comments, please leave them in the comment below. I'll keep checking it from time to time. So how do we get on that path? Because there's a step before mindset. Like I said, there's 3 accelerators, 3 key components to accelerate results. Mindset is one of them. The other, I love this quote, is you got to know where you're going. You have to know where you're going. But before you know where you're going, you first must know where you are. Because if you don't know where you are today and you don't know where you're going, any road will take you there. So what we're going to do, since clarity is the key to the speed of your success. I'll say that again. Clarity is the key to the speed of your success, meaning the more clear you are, the faster you can get those results. If you're unsure, if you're hesitant, if you're a little foggy, it'll create some more obstacles along the way. So what would it mean to you? For you, maybe your business, if you knew what your next step was today, if not only you knew exactly where you were, but what step you had to take to get you up the ladder, what kind of impact would that have in your business? Let me know. Type it in the chat box. Okay? See, what I'm going to do is I'm going to run you through an assessment. It's just a simple exercise, just like I did with Warrior's Heart. Simple exercises make a massive impact. I learned it from Robert Kiyosaki and Blair Singer directly. About games are an example of how you show up in life. So we're going to use games and exercises to get you clear. Right? So we're going to do a simple assessment. Now there's a catch. Are you willing to be honest with yourself? Let me know. If you're willing to be honest, type, I'll be honest in the chat box. Because if you lie to yourself, if you're delusional, if you pretend like what you see is not what it is, if you purposely choose to look the other way, doesn't matter what assessment I do for you or what tools I give you or what formulas I share, nothing's going to work. You must first be willing to be honest and truthful with yourself. Face those brutal, honest facts. But if you're ready, let me know. Say, I'm ready. Type it in the chat box below. I'll show you a quick way to assess where you're at and what's the step to get above it. Is everybody good with that? All right, perfect. So here's what we're going to do. Let's go with this one. See, there are three things which typically apply when it comes to business, because I'm a big believer of metrics. I like to measure things. Assumptions, theories, gut feelings are all great to help me guide me, but nothing beats facts and numbers. As Robert told me, numbers tell a story. What story do your numbers tell you? Right? So for this reason, we're going to measure based on three criteria. Right? We're going to measure based on, there we go, now we got it working, income, marketing, reach, and image. Like I said, I'm going to use pictures and words for that memory retention. I'll also use colors. So income, market reach. How many people can you get in front of? If you've taken Ivana's program, I'm sure you can get in front of a lot of people, right? But also from that program, I'm loving your post, by the way, Ivana, and the tips you've given me. They're working brilliant. Thank you. They've really helped with this third one, which is the image. Right? So those are the criteria we're going to use. So what is the first level? Well, the first level, I mentioned, you remember how I mentioned I was a magician? Yeah. I'm going to use that as an example, right? Because it works in magic just like it works in business and in life. As a magician, the first level you ever get, or an artist, is you get the dreamer. This is the person who talks the big talk, who wants that future vision, who has this desire to stand on the stage or to build that business or to generate that income or to launch that campaign, but never does. Right? Typically, how do you know if you have a dreamer? Now, just a disclaimer, we all start as a dreamer. So if this is you, that's okay, as long as you're honest about it. Be honest with where you really are. There's nothing wrong with being a dreamer. That's where we all begin. But how you know if you're a dreamer? Typically, your income looks like this. You spend more than you make, right? Your marketing reach or your image, well, your marketing reach is nada. You don't have any marketing campaigns. You don't have any marketing reach. You don't have any campaigns, things like that. And your image is what we call invisible. Okay. By the way, as I'm doing this, there's going to be spelling mistakes. I try to correct them. If you want to correct me, if you're one of the people that drives you nuts, put the correct spelling in the box. I'll check it and fix it later. It's part of that whole hearing impairment, dyslexia, all that stuff. I'm okay with it. But if it drives you nuts, just leave me the correction. I'll fix it. I don't mind. But just to give you a heads up on that. See, when you're dealing with these three, and the reason why I share that is because it's the very thing I just mentioned about a fear of making a spelling mistake is the very thing that stops a dreamer from ever being more than a dreamer. What do you think that might be? Go ahead. Let me know in the chat box below. The biggest reason why a dreamer stays where they are, that they never move up the list, that they, for 10, 20 years even, talk about this idea. You got it. It's fear. Fear, no goals. You've got, that is, a lot of dreamers actually, they may have goals, Rich, but you're on this right path. They may have goals, but it's the fear of achieving the goals or lack of belief in getting those goals or lack of clarity of what those goals might be. But if you really dig deep, often they don't actually sit down and do the goals because they're afraid of something. Some people will say it's because they're afraid of what they get. Some are afraid of what they don't get, afraid of being vulnerable, etc. It's fear. But so what is the solution? The way to overcome that obstacle and to move up the level? Well, for a dreamer, you have to make a choice. You have to draw that line in the sand. There is a point in time when you can only prepare so long. If you don't finally take that step, you've got to take that step if you ever want to move up the ladder. Does this make sense? So I'm curious, how many of you here, be honest, are you willing to make a choice? Are you willing to commit? Are you willing to do what it takes, no matter how difficult, no matter how hot that fire gets, no matter how vulnerable you have to be? Are you willing to do that step, make that choice? 100% committed. Love it. Excellent. Because once a dreamer especially, Once a dreamer, and I think of magic, that's the one who talks about, oh, that trick is really cool, but never bothers going and learn. They buy all the tapes, they buy all the books, but they never do anything with it. Then one day they decide, that's it, I'm going to take the step. And they become an amateur. Right? This is the person who does it on the side. Again, it's okay. We all have to go through the process. We have all been at this level. But what does an amateur look like? Well, an amateur has an income that looks like this. Right? They would have a marketing reach and an image. The marketing reach is hit and miss. Sometimes it works. Sometimes it doesn't. They never really know until they try, right? Their image, that really horrible looking eyeball there, that's like I don't know what that is, but we'll call it an eyeball. That image is family and friends, right? Their image, they're only known by their family and friends. That's it, which is why the marketing reach is hit and miss. Does this make sense? If only people who know who you are and know about you is your family and friends, your marketing reach is depending on how influential they are and has nothing to do with you. Everybody understand, yeah? Again, it's not a bad thing if this is you, but it's important you know. Because just like a dreamer needs to make a choice, if you realize that that's what's holding you back, then maybe there's a hint on what you need to focus on. Everybody understanding? Yeah, there's little key areas. It's going to be different for each one of you, but it really depends on where you are. Now, if you want to move up the ladder, the next step up the ladder is a professional. This is someone who actually makes a living at their business, makes a good income. As a magician, this is someone who doesn't need to have a day job just to pay the bills and to support their family. They're no longer that starving artist. Does this make sense? In business, this is the individual whose income statement looks more like this. A nice, consistent, steady flow up. Their image is the known. And the marketing reach gets results consistently. That is how you know when you've moved from amateur to professional, is when things are no longer happening by chance, but rather happening on purpose. Does this make sense? So how many of you are wondering, well, great, but how does an amateur become a professional? What is that? I gave the secret for the dreamer. How does an amateur become a professional? Well, let me ask you this. What does a professional have that an amateur doesn't? Go ahead, type it in the box below. What does a professional have that an amateur doesn't? Maybe, what is it, Rich? Goals? Tangible, physical goals? Maybe systems? They have knowledge about the industry, about the market, about the clients. Focus? Yeah, perfect. They might have a team, right? Depending on the industry you're in, this may change, but ultimately they know what they want. They know where to go, where they're going. They know how to get the results, and they have the systems, the processes, and team in place to get them there. Does this make sense? Because the amateur, the biggest challenge an amateur has is they are alone. They're doing it all themselves. And no matter how good you are, doesn't matter if you're the best in the world, unless you start to build your systems, build your processes, build your teams, follow formulas, test and measure, do the science side of a business to really work out those systems and process, things that work every single time, guaranteed. That way when things change, like a pandemic hits, You have the skills and abilities and knowledge to be able to make adjustments quickly. But if you're alone, it doesn't matter if you are the best in the world. I've met amateur magicians who are better than David Copperfield, David Blaine, and Chris Angel combined. I've met amateurs who are better than Harry Houdini himself. But the biggest difference was that they didn't have, that all the other tops did, is the team, the support, and the systems. Does this make sense? So if you're an amateur and you don't have these things yet, the way to move up the ladder is the leverage, the professionals, goals, teams, systems, and knowledge. Ivana, you do high ticket coaching, right? And if you have an amateur who wants to be a professional that doesn't know how to get themselves launched, could you help them? Yeah. What kind of impact can they have in a very short period of time by leveraging off your experience, your knowledge, your systems? You want to become a professional. You don't have the skills and ability yet. That's fine. We've all been there. Are you willing to stop being alone and leveraging off someone who has the ability, the skill, and the knowledge to help you get there? And once you get there, it's your turn to help the person behind you. Does this make sense? Yeah, it's like climbing a mountain. I know I'm looking at climbing Mount Kilimanjaro with some of my mentors and colleagues. Biggest thing is one step at a time. Just like in business, there's someone ahead of me, there's someone behind me. My job is to watch the person ahead of me and to learn from them and to grow with them so we get up the mountain together. But it's also to create the path for the person behind me to follow me, because no matter how new it is I am at this, there's still a line behind me. Does this make sense? And it's about creating that path and building it, which takes us to the next level. Because you may think a professional, they have it all. But there is one step above that. This is the master. Income? Unlimited. It's really what they choose, right? The marketing reach and their image. Well, for their image, they're considered to be a thought leader. They're the experts in the industry. They know more than anybody else. And they're the type of person that if you're going to hire someone, you would go ask them about their competition first before making that hire, right? They're considered the leading experts in their industry. They're the Elon Musk. Steve Jobs was a thought leader. Keep going. The list goes on, which means their marketing reach, they're no longer doing marketing. Their clients come to you. How many of you would like to have your clients come to you? Yeah. There's a process for that. You don't have to be as big and rich as Elon Musk to be the thought leader in your industry. In the digital marketing world or in businesses all over the world, depending on what industry you're in, there's different levels to become the top of your realm in your pond. Does this make sense? Be the big fish in the small pond. You can still be the thought leader in your area, in your niche, without having to have billions of dollars to back it up. Yeah, it's all about positioning, exactly. And then backing it up with results, right? So that's the step. I want you to be honest. Where are you? Are you a dreamer, an amateur, a professional, or a master? Which one are you? Because that clarity clears the fog of confusion. The moment you're willing to address the brutal, honest truth and see where you are now, you can take the step forward. See, this is what we did with Warrior's Heart. We identified those salespeople were amazing, but their systems were broken. Their mindsets were in trouble. And all we had to do was set up the systems, unite the team behind the mission, refocus the definitions, make minor tweaks to accelerate results. That's how I can guarantee the 32%, 15 to 33% in 12 weeks or less, guaranteed, because often it's one small tweak, not a massive change, depending on where you are. So let me ask you this. Out of the 4 levels, which are you? Be honest. Which one is? And if you're willing, type it in the chat box below. All right? But I have another question for you. If you are an amateur or a dreamer? What is it costing you? By staying on those levels, what is it really doing to your drive, your ambition, your livelihood? Is it affecting you, your own mentality? What about your loved ones? Because the truth is, even though I break this into 4 categories, there's really only 2. Either you're succeeding or you're failing. Your business is either providing for you or you are providing for your business. Which one is it? What impact is it having on you, your life, and the life of your loved ones? If you are in an amateur or dreamer, it's okay. But it's time to take that step. It's time to make the choice. It's time to do whatever it takes. If you're a dreamer, make a choice. If you're an amateur, start leveraging the professional. The professional, however, if you are a professional and that's awesome and you're happy there, great. But if you want more, you want to be a master, do you want to know what stops the professional? Good enough. Getting to a spot where you're happy with your results, they're consistent, and stopping. And if that's what you want in life, if that achieves your goals, great. Stop, enjoy life, go get your enjoyment elsewhere. But if you want to truly be the master, it's about taking what you've done and tightening the context, really strengthening your teams, your goals, your system, your knowledge, and you will naturally become that master within your industry. But you've got to make that choice. Everything I'm going to show you comes down to your choice, and you're willing to back it with action. So let me ask, are you willing to make that choice? Are you willing to choose to get results? Or are you going to continue to accept excuses for why it's good enough, or why you're an amateur, or why you haven't built your team, or why you haven't decided to take that step? The choice is yours, but you got to draw the line in the sand. So I've got my question for you. Whether you're a dreamer, amateur, professional, or master, are you willing to take action to move yourself up the level? Because it doesn't matter what level you're at. All that matters is what you're willing to do about it. In my experience, the ones who are willing to take action, it doesn't matter what they got. Oh, screen is dark. That's weird. So in my experience, it doesn't matter what you got. I'm just going to share my screen again. And we'll hit the play. Because it doesn't really matter where you are. As long as you're willing to back it with action and do what it takes, what you will find, in my experience, is you always get results. All right? And if anything like that happens again, by all means, leave me those messages. Thank you. I appreciate that. I can tell you right now, there is no point in this entire presentation where the screen should be black. Just putting that out there. All right? So is this the time? This is your chance. Once you do that, the next step, like I said, that's the first step is actually getting clear on where you are. The second step, the key to increasing those results quickly, like I said, 12 weeks or less, is in how you present it. Have you ever been, let me ask you this for a second. Have you ever been in the position, you have a great client, you know what their wants are, you know what their needs are, you can get them results, you know it. You're like me and you're willing to back it with 100% guarantee, money back guarantee. There's no doubt in your mind. They're excited. You get off the phone only to never hear from them again. They ghost you completely. They stop answering your messages. They start messaging you back or calling you. Has that ever happened to anybody here? If you're a bit like me, you lose sleep at night going, what the heck happened? Like, I can get them such great results. I just want to help them. Where'd they go? Right? Or someone who they just don't get it. They don't, you pitch it to them and you try to explain it to them. You try to show them the steps they can take, but they're not hearing it. They're missing something. And it's like they're smacking their head against the wall, or like you're in a glass box screaming at the top of your lungs, but they can't hear you. Ever been in that situation before? Yeah, which leads me to step number 2. The first thing is to know your clients better than they know themselves. Right? You hear people talk about avatar or ideal client, and we go into that in a lot of my programs, like the Results Accelerator, Thought Leader Intensive, etc. We spend a lot of time on our avatar, But I'm going to show you something simpler than that. Because if you change this one detail, the rest of it will fall in line. Ultimately, you know you've achieved this goal when you know what the biggest fears are that keep them up at night that they don't even tell their spouse about. If you can tell me that about your client, then I will agree you know your client better than they know themselves. Everybody understand what I'm talking about? Yeah. But even if you don't know them to that level, doesn't mean you can't achieve that level. And so let me show you how. Right? If we go back to a flip chart, on yours it's an iceberg. I'm going to show you something different though. So you're going to need to use a blank page. I'm going to tell you, would it be okay if I tell you a story? Would that be okay? Perfect. So let's say, I'm going to tell you a story about magicians. So let's say this is a classic effect. Actually, I think Harry Houdini might have been the original inventor of it, but I could be wrong. This is what you know as cut a lady in half. Ever heard of that one before? Yeah. So I'm going to break a magician's code. I'm going to give you a secret. Nobody's going to give away my secret, right? You're not going to call like David Copperfield on me. Okay, good. Appreciate that. Because he doesn't like when you give away secrets. He does this one. You know, but there's an interesting point. How it works is a magician comes out on stage with this box that's in two pieces. And he comes out with his beautiful assistant. And he puts her in the box. She's not very happy. As well, this is as good as my drawings get. So I hope you're enjoying them. She gets in the box. And he takes a blade and he cuts her in half, right down the middle. And then takes the box and separates it. Any ever heard of that one? Right? Shows it, spins it, makes her all dizzy, all that stuff, showing that she's physically cut in half with the blades on both sides. Well, in magic, there's three things that make a great effect. There's three things three components that are relevant. The interesting thing is the one I'm doing here is the oldest version. It was created back in like the mid 1800s, late 1800s, early 1900s. Right? There is a new version today where you can do this with your assistant without the box. No box whatsoever. So I'm going to give you an old secret. See, the three things that there are, when the assistant gets in the box, what happens is while she's getting in the box, she actually folds up her legs without you noticing. Meaning there is nothing in the other box. That's how the trick is done, at least the original version. The interesting thing about this, though, is if you give this box to a master and you give the new version where you lay them on a board, they have no box and they have this massive blade and you physically see it cut through them, then they separate them in half. And the ending finale is you put them back together again, because otherwise you'd be in a lot of trouble, right? You give this version of the trick to a master and you give that new high-end effect or version to an amateur, the master will still create the better lasting impression. And in business, what's more important than your audience or your clients raving about you to their friends and family? A true master magician will be talked about 3 generations later. You know you've achieved your goal when, as a grandparent, they're telling their grandkids about the magician they saw 30 years ago. How many of you heard about Harry Houdini before? Most well-known magician on earth, and he's passed away. He's been gone for what, 70 years? Still being talked about to this day. There's a reason for it. There's 3 parts to an effect. There is 1, what you see. Right? In the case of the magic effect, you see the person being put in the box. You see them cut in half. You see the box is separated. Number 2, it's what you learn or what you get. Right? This is the actual effect. If I taught you this trick and showed you how to do it, you could do it too. But the difference, the one thing that makes the difference in everything else is step number 3. The difference between the amateur and the professional is in the It's in the experience or what they feel. For example, the reason why the master using the oldest trick in the book versus an amateur using the latest technology, the master would still run loops around them, is because prior to the effect, they would take the time to build up the suspense, engage the audience, get them excited, get them on the edge of their seat in anticipation. Harry Houdini used to take 2 hours escaping handcuffs. One trick, 2 hours on a stage. It's all in how he presented it, the experience, the connection, the anticipation, everything from the marketing, from the moment it got into the paper or when he was locked up in a cell naked and had his clothes locked in another cell and would still escape and have it publicized all through the PR. That's a whole other story about the lessons about marketing you can learn from Harry Houdini. Read his biographies, or I'll give you the snapshots. There's some powerful lessons. But the key here is in how it's presented prior to ever presenting the effect. The master takes the time to truly connect with their audience, to truly understand what they're feeling, where they're going through. Does this make sense? So how does this relate in business? Well, in business, what you see would be the product or the service. For example, my 12-week program, my Results Accelerator program, what you see is a 12-week program, a 9-module 12-week program. What you get is guaranteed increase in sales, laser focus on your avatar, the skill and ability to turn no into yes. And best part is, whether you're a team of 1 or a team of 100, you create and develop your manual based on your knowledge so that you get consistent results time after time and get a new team member up to speed quickly so that you can become that professional and that master. So what you learn or what you get are your income, your marketing reach, and an improved image. Make sense? But what matters more than anything else is that before you ever tell them what they get or what they see, is that you connect on a deeper level. Truly understand them, listen to them, be human, be genuine. Don't be pulling out these sales techniques. Don't be all gimmicky. I'm studying a new book, not studying a new book, studying the Magician's Bible, and I'm translating it to business. And it's the most studied book in the world of magic. And I won't tell you about it here. If you keep an eye on my social media channels, you'll learn about it in the next several weeks. But it's a powerful, powerful book. And one of the keys he talks about, one of the greatest card sharps of his time, is that you can't be gimmicky. You know, you hear about all these gimmicks of cards that jump out of sleeves, et cetera, et cetera. But if the audience or your clients feel like you're just pulling a gimmick over them, they're not going to trust you. They're not going to connect you. They're going to put up their barrier and they're going to isolate themselves from you. But if you can truly set that tone prior to ever making a pitch of any kind, then there's trust, there's relationship, and there's a desire to want what it is you have to offer. Does this make sense? Do me a favor, type it in the chat box below. What is your biggest lesson or takeaway from my story there? What are you realizing as a result? You see, true value, meaning, and purpose is like that bottom of an iceberg, right? Once experienced, it's transformational. Yeah, exactly. Understand your audience and connect with them on a deeper level. I always look at it from this day. I want you to know that I know what you're going through. And better yet, I want you to know with 100% certainty that I can get you out of it. And that I can transform your life, your business, or the situation you are in. Because if you have that kind of faith in me, there is no sales pitch. You've already had that experience. You already have that faith. All is left now is to discuss the terms. Is that making sense? Right. So what message are you sending your audience? Think about it for a moment. Are you just telling them what they'll get? Or are you speaking in their language about the differences they really make in the world? Because here's what I know about you. We talk about transformation. Here's what I know about you already. You're not here for just money. If you were, you probably wouldn't work as hard as you do for as little as you get. Let's be honest. The beginning of business can be a challenge, to say the least. But if I had to guess, you're on this call. You've been with me now for almost an hour. I'm willing to bet there's a meaning or a purpose in your life. I bet there's something more to what you do or why you do it. Maybe it's someone you love. Maybe it's a life you've always dreamed of. Maybe it's proving someone wrong. Could be that too. I've seen it. Maybe it's because you have a deeper purpose. You know, you are 1% of 1% of the population on this earth. Most people go through life every day just to collect a paycheck, go home, go to work, come home, do their activities, spend time with family, go back to work, etc. Repeat. But not you. Did you know only 1% of 1% of the world's population focus on bettering themselves, improving their abilities, their skills, and bettering who they are? See, I know what you do is not for the dollar. And if you truly want to change people's lives, if you truly want to make that difference, you got to show them. That's where, Ivana, I made the comment before about some of your posts. Like your first couple of posts in your sequence, brilliant. Because it's all about truly connecting with people on that deeper level. Right? So again, you have a choice to make. Are you going to keep talking to everybody generically, keep doing the stuff that everybody does and no one gets results? Hey, buy this, buy that. Are you going to keep doing that the old way, or are you going to use the proven way? To connect with a human being on that deeper level, using the right language, the right tone, in a manner that gets them excited about you long before you ever promote the product or the service or what they get. Because that deep level is the starting point. So which is it? The old way or the new way? Or as I said, change the world. Love it. Love it. Go ahead. Type it in the box below. Because that was the second step to increasing your sales. First, like I said, you got to fix the mindset. You got to get clear on the mindset. That's part of it. But it's about getting clear in the mind on where you are and accepting where you are. Next, it's about really connecting. In sales, that would be the discovery phase, right? Discovering people's really wants and needs. When you get so clear at the discovery on what their want and needs are, then you can make marketing do massive amounts of results. But you can't make the marketing work until you've put in the time and the energy to truly understand your audience. So if you're at the point where the marketing's not working, you got to fall back on the deep dives. Get clear, get insight, get information, right? Because once you've done that, we can move on to the next step. But here's something important to know. Try to skip that step. Try to skip that deep dive, and you're going to spend tens of thousands of dollars getting zero results. Marketing doesn't work unless you truly understand and connect on that deep level. Right? But here's what's next. Now that you have the clarity, you know how to connect, it's time to identify the areas where you need to focus on. And depending on where you are and what business that you're in, will determine which area you need to focus on. Right? But once you do, this will get you results quickly. Right? Because the right focus on the right areas gets exponential results. I don't go uncommon results and Results Accelerator because I want this to take 5 years. Right? This is about where to go right now, which one area will have the massive impact. So picture this. You're growing your business. Revenue is going great. Everyone's on board. Action is high. You don't want to make a mistake, and you just can't stop. You're currently doing everything right. And if you get it right, you're going to be at a whole nother level. Break through that box. Never to look back. That's what happened to Tim. Tim joined my Results Accelerator the very first time we joined. Now, Tim is an exceptional individual. He was already a master in his industry, but he got a little complacent. Remember about professional, the key to the professional is to get good enough? He fell into that category. Ended up barely not scraping by. He did a good living still. He was still doing well. But as a result of just going back to the fundamentals, going back to what he already knew, in a 4-week period, he increased his sales by over 200%. You're talking millions, all by going back and laser focusing on one of the 3 key areas that I'm about to show you. That's all it took. All right? So let me just draw this out for you. Give this a try. We've talked about the 1, right? If it's about the experience that you create for people, what they feel, what the outcome, the difference you make in them, the difference you help them make in their world or in their life. Right? It's about the experience. There's 3 key areas that you can measure against. We already talked about them earlier today. What were they? They were income, marketing reach, and image. Okay? By focusing on these 3 key areas, these metrics, they tell you where you need to put your focus. I'll give you an example. If the area that you're struggling with is income, you either need to look at your mindset towards money, how you view money, how you view the objections, how you handle everything that goes on up here, how you feel before or after the sale, or you need to focus on sales itself. How do you make the sale? What is the system? What is the process? Right? So if your income is the one that's struggling, if out of the 3 key metrics, it's income, it's either going to be, you got to go back to your systems and within your sales and the fundamentals, or you've got to work on your mindset. It's one of those 2, if not both, that are causing you the problems in your business right now. As soon as you fix one, you're going to see an exponential result almost immediately. The moment it's fixed, not necessarily during, but the moment you correct it, it gets results. However, if it's marketing reach you're after, if you are good with sales and let's say you have a good mindset, right? But you're still not, your problem isn't the sale itself, but rather getting in front of the right people. Well, then you need to work on the sales, but you also need to work on your team, because you can't build an exponential market reach if you're doing it all alone. Does this make sense? And if your marketing is good and your income, your closing percentages and ratios are good, but it's your image, your brand that you're struggling with, then likely again, it's team or mindset that you have to work on. See, mindset, when I say mindset, it's the mindset of you, it's the mindset of your team, it's the mindset of your clients. It's about going back and looking at the true, honest beliefs of the people within your organization and helping them become bigger than who they are today. A lot of people struggle with a self-limiting belief that they're not good enough, smart enough, pretty enough, that they're too stupid, that they can't spell correctly or they can't speak. Mine was the moment I open my mouth, I'm going to make a fool of myself because everybody's going to think I'm an idiot. Why? Because I was laughed at for 20 years of my life. Could I back it up with excuses? Hell yeah. But that belief stops me from ever doing what I'm meant to do. Stopped me from ever sharing my story. I spent 17 years where if you said, where's your accent from? I said, well, where do you think? If you said Zimbabwe, I said, yeah, how'd you know? And quickly Googled where the heck that was. I was embarrassed by the truth because my mindset said you would make fun of me or that you would feel bad for me. I didn't want anybody's pity. We all have a challenge in life. That was just mine, right? I faced it. I'm thankful for it. It's given me the great gifts in life. But that's what I mean when I'm talking about mindset. When I'm talking about sales, I'm specifically talking about your sales systems and turning them on so that they get consistent results. If you are the system, you have a problem. It's a good place to start, not a good place to finish. Because the moment you get sick, get tired, or if like me, I found out I had a son coming, I very quickly found out whether I had a business or a job when I decided I wanted to be there for his birth. Right? Sales are a system. You want to know if you have your true sales systems? Take 6 months off, and at the end of 6 months, see if you still have a business. The answer is yes, you've got a business. The answer is no, You got to work on your sales systems. Does this make sense? All right. And if you're talking about team, for this area, we're talking about the environment, the world in which they live in, so that they can grow. Right? It's very, very simple. If your team is the area that you're struggling with, you're going to want to write this down. Because even though there's 3 main pieces, there's 9 components to create the accelerator. So if team is the one you struggle with, the first one you got to look at is your training. If your team is not getting results, if it's the wrong environment, you got to look at your training. How are you building them up and setting them up for success? Are you bringing them on board and expect them to get you results? Or are you teaching them and building them and giving them the skills they need to get the results you already get? There's a difference. One is setting them up for failure. One is setting them up for success. So if you're struggling with your team, first step is to look at your training. Next is your accountability and their commitment. This was Warrior's Heart. They had accountability, they had commitment, but what was missing was the actual structure to the accountability, to making sure that they were on track all the time, so that making sure the accountability to the mindset was there, that they were taking the time for their personal health, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. Now, after accountability and commitment is really focusing on why you do what you do. It's about setting the environment so people love coming to work every day. And you do that by sharing the mission, the values, the purpose, the ethics within the organization. Now that is how you build your team. Get those pieces right and you'll have a team that will do anything for you and will get you the results you're looking for. But if it's not team, maybe it's sales. If it's sales, first step, we talked about it. Who are your clients? Do you know them so well that you can tell me the biggest thing they're scared of, the thing that they lose sleep at night, the thing that causes them to stress and is likely going to give them a heart attack if they don't solve it? If you don't know your avatar that well, don't worry. There's a number of exercises and ways to get very, very clear on your avatar and then go out into the real world. Remember, test and measure, science and art. Go out in the real world and test it and find out if your theories are accurate or misguided, because if you get it wrong, you're going to spend a lot of money on marketing that's going to go to waste. So first step, if you're building your sales, is get clear on who your avatar is. After you build your avatar, you got to look at your sales cycle. What are the steps you take from the point of, hi, I'm John, all the way to, welcome, John, you are now a newest client. And what are the steps in between? The reason why I have a job in most cases is because most people track 2 things, if they track anything at all. How many leads are they getting? How many sales are they making? The first thing in the sales cycle you got to realize is the steps in between. And that gift I told you about is going to give you guidance on how to make sure that that piece is no longer the missing component in your recipe for success. How many of you would like that gift? Yeah? All right, perfect. So I'll make sure that I'll get that to you. You'll be probably by email tomorrow. You'll get a notice of how to sign up and how to get it all, right? And it's going to show you both the avatar, little bit on the avatar, we'll touch on it, and the sales cycle to make sure that that piece is correct, which leads us to the third part of sales. Once you have your avatar, you know your cycle, it's about the conversions. It's in a true system, you have your finger on the pulse. So the moment it goes up, you know it, and then you can look at why, so that you can make it consistent time after time. But if it goes down, you catch it before it's a problem. I remember one of my clients, we were doing Facebook, Google advertising, and we turned on display ads. We have a budget of about $7,000 a month, I think is our budget. And that's on the lower end. So we turned on this display ads, and all of a sudden we were getting 50, 60, 70 links, calls through the website, calls on the phone and forms through the website. The client is ecstatic. The PPC manager blowing up, going, yeah, what a raise. Until I got in there and went, wait a minute, the conversions aren't working. Took a look at the quality of the leads, and we found out that the display ad was showing up on the free government check website. And everybody's calling, asking, you got money for me? Where do I go? Most of them hammered because, I don't know, just the way the site was positioned, the way the display ads. So imagine that. All the numbers look great, but the results, the conversions weren't there. instantly caught it, turned it off after we've only lost about 3 or 4 grand because that was only a couple of weeks. Out the window, gone, bye. But by having the finger on the pulse, we caught it in weeks instead of months or years. Because a lot of businesses, unfortunately, don't even track those numbers. That is vital to be able to watch your conversions. To see, it's like I said, sales is the blood of your business. Tracking your numbers is what is the way you check your pulse to make sure it's still alive. This makes sense? All right. And of course, mindset. First thing you focus on in mindset, if this is the one you're struggling, energy. Did you hear that? No, because you need energy. If you're going to build that mindset, build people up, get them excited, get them laser focused on the objective, the goal, build the roadmap so they know where they're going and how to get there, and get them excited about it. Because if you can build their excitement, their enthusiasm, you can get them to buy into the actual process, the campaign, the program, the products, the services. You get them excited if it's enthusiastic. How many of you would rather talk to someone who loves what they do versus someone who is there for the freaking paycheck? Which one do you want? So the first step to fixing the mindset and building them up is you got to build up their energy and their individual as a whole. Second is their focus. Get them focused on things that get results. Again, so you can build up their confidence, build up their self-esteem, build up their belief in themselves that they can do what it is you believe in them that they can do. And third, once you put them under that heat, little voices are going to start popping, right? Oh, I'm not good enough. I'm not smart enough. Oh, what about this? What about that? No one wants to hear from me. It's dinner time. Yada, yada, yada. Bullshit. And you, as the leader, have to be able to handle it in your team and in yourself. And that, hands down, is probably one of the hardest things to do. And if you need support and you can't do it alone, remember, you got yourself where you are. Congratulations. You did amazing. But you're also the one that got you there. And once you hit a certain point, you need support to get you past that way, because you got you where you are. The person who got you there can't be the one to get you out of it. Does this make sense? Right? You got to be able to push past it. And there's a way that you can do that for your team. And one of the real golden nugget, some of you are going to get it, some of you won't. The mindset, the mask, that little self-sabotaging little voice, learn how to manage that in your clients. And that's the first step to turning those no's into yeses. Handling real objections, not having clients just vanish. Understanding what's really holding them back. What's really stopping them. What's causing them to ghost you. Maybe it had nothing to do with you. Again, I have a whole other program I could talk about with that, where we go into little voice. And Ivana, I'm pretty sure that's how we met, right? That's what I was talking about in Portugal, was just this and how it interferes and gets in our way in everything else we do. So now you know, you have those steps, right? Here's the key. Oh, why isn't, there we go. We'll go back to the thing. Now you know, here's the key. Out of these 3 areas, which one do you need to focus on? Which of the 3 accelerators is the most important for you? Type it in the chat box. Is it sales? Is it mindset? Or is it team? Which one's going to have that massive impact in your life today? Because here's the thing I know. You now know this information. I said it at the beginning. You can choose to face the brutal, honest facts. If you do, you might be able to use this information to get a sale tomorrow. I've seen it done numerous times. But there are other types of people who will literally turn their blind eye and pretend like they didn't hear anything I've said. Checked out, shut off, walked away, or even worse, pretending like they're here, but playing on their phone. I was trying to grab my phone, but I got rid of it so I wouldn't be distracted. Right? If you've went through this whole thing and you were on your phone, there may be a secret there to what's holding you back. What stopped you from being able to stay involved or stay in the participation or stay in the information and apply what it is that's working on you, right? You have a choice, but you have to be honest with yourself. That is the very, very, very first step. Market research, mindset, very important. Yeah, exactly. Thank you. And as soon as you know it, now you know. The real question is, what are you going to do with that information? Right? I asked you before. Are you going to use the proven way? Face those facts and make the changes you need to make that you realize that you need in your business today, or you're going to go back to doing things the way you've always done it. Right? So those are the steps. Starting today, if you implement it, it will ensure that this year is the launch pad for the rest of the year. You can increase your profits, you can tighten your team or build your team depending on where you're at, and you can become the master in your industry through your positioning, through your market research, and through your experience. And if I'm being honest, I don't know why you showed up today. We haven't met, but I appreciate that you're here. And like I said, in this world, there are billions of people. There's a very small percentage who are willing to do what you do, which is why I know you're different than most. Everybody has a friend or a family member who has exceptional potential, and you see them waste it, sitting on a couch playing video games, getting high, or something else, whatever their vice may be. I don't know about you guys, but I'm always looking going, why? How come they don't see it? How come they don't get it? That's how I know you are different. Because you're here. You do things to better yourselves, to better your life, to better your business. But I also know you have some challenges. And if I've done my deep dive correctly, your challenges is likely one of a few different things. One, you're either struggling with leads. Yeah, is that a difficulty? Right? What you've done has gotten you where you are, but it's not enough to get you to the next hurdle. Most of the time, usually it's one of a few challenges. So I'm asking, is that your challenge? Are you challenging or struggling with leads and getting people through the door and really connecting with you on that deeper level? And unless you tighten the quality or the quantity, depending on your business model, that you're going to be stuck staying where you are. Right? In some businesses, you want more leads. In other businesses, you do not want more leads. You want better quality leads. I've watched many businesses increase their leads only to put them out of business faster because they still had the broken system. Right? It's vital that you scale your sales, but not until after you fix your system. Does this make sense? Right? Or is your challenge your team or lack of team? Are you having trouble getting everybody on the same page, providing them with the support material they need, or showing them the steps they need to take to get the results that you know are possible? Or is it your closing ratio sucks? Here's the truth. I've said it before. You can't you can't scale your business if you don't first scale your sales. And you can't scale your sales if you have a losing team or a broken system. But whatever it is, you have the tools to overcome it. Just remember what we've learned in our lessons. One, if you feel confused or you're unsure how to get out of that rat race, then refer back to our assessment. Identify where you are and what step you have to take to go to the next level. Clarity is key. So if you feel that fog of confusion, go back and review, reassess, take those steps. If you don't remember the details, don't worry. I'll tell you what. I'll upload these. Actually, you know what? That email, I'll send you a copy of the visual. And I believe, Ivana, you're going to have a replay of this, correct? Perfect. So if you get stuck, you don't remember the details, rewatch the video. Lesson 2. If you're struggling and no matter what skill or your team is learning or you are learning and it's still not making a difference, you keep learning new skill, and it's getting you no results, then you must focus on how you present the information. It's not the challenge there is not in the information, but the way you're presenting it or the words you are using or even the tonality you use. Does this make sense? You may even need to build up the confidence of you or your team so that people know that you know what you're talking about. And often that comes with just that teeny lack of confidence can make a massive impact in whether someone chooses to work with you or without you. Or lesson number 3. If your sales are not converting, if you're barely getting enough leads or you're not getting the results you want, you have to work on your energy and mindset. Build your team through accountability and focus on the fundamentals of the sales process. Remember, it's a step-by-step process that if you get it right, it consistently gets results. Right? The question is, how do you implement it? You know this information, but how do you actually implement it? Would you like to know the answer? I've already given you the hint. It's in your choice. The first step, you got to choose that you're going to make this a reality without a shadow of a doubt. The biggest mistake I see people make when it comes to choosing is they choose, I'm going to get healthy, but I'm going to still eat chocolate cake on Sundays and Thursdays and Tuesdays, but I'm going to get healthy, right? The moment you have that secondary thought in your mind, you've now created a battleground. You've got to make that choice 100% without a shadow of a doubt that today is the last day you're going to stand where you are, and that tomorrow, starting this moment, the moment this webinar ends, that you're going to start taking action to move you forward without exception. That is what it takes. Every individual I've met with that kind of discipline, that kind of commitment, guaranteed results. It's just a matter of when, not if. Does this make sense? All right. See, the how is easy. The hard part is making the choice. So you got to draw that line in the sand. So what is your commitment? Type it in the box below. You've been on the program for a while. What is your commitment? What are you committing to do? Right? Because if you're going to do things the same way as you always done, you're going to keep getting old results or same results. You're going to keep burning money. You're going to keep losing leads, struggling, challenging, whatever level you're at. Make your choice, the old way or the proven way. It's up to you. It's your life. Now, all I know is there's a lot of people out there who would really benefit if you're willing to do what it takes. Does everybody understand? So like I said at the beginning, if you like this program, if you like the way we teach, if you see the value in digging deep and really focusing on the fundamentals, your mindset and your techniques, as well as building your team behind your mission, would you like to know what the next steps are? Yeah, perfect. Because at the beginning, I told you that that if you like what we do, I would like to tell you more about it. And it's very, very simple. It's called the Results Accelerator. It's a next level sales program. It's 9 modules plus a bonus on week 12. But I'm going to be honest, this is not for everybody. It's not for you if by making an investment, you're concerned about paying your bills. In my experience, I get it, that especially if you're in that position, you need help, you need support. But in my experience, the pressure I'm about to turn on, the support I'm about to give, the guidance I'm about to provide, if you're struggling with paying the bills, typically it's just too much. So if you're in that position, I get it. There's other support. The free gift I got you will work great. But this program wouldn't be for you if you're not sure about how you're going to pay for the electricity this month. Or if you're not going to take it seriously. I'd make a lot more money if I accepted students who would just pay for it and never show up. But frankly, that doesn't work for me. If you're willing to, if you take this program and you don't participate, I'm just going to take you out of the program and refund your money. It's not worth my time. It's not worth the energy of my environment. The environment is key. The energy of the team is key. So if you're not willing to take it seriously, then it won't be for you. I'll just be honest. But if you're willing to be serious and really put your business first, then maybe. Or if you don't actually want to build a business. I know that seems unusual, but there are a lot of people who say they want it, but they don't actually want it. So they just talk, but they don't ever actually want to build a true business sales system or build a team because they're afraid of all the results or all the workload that comes with it, right? There is a trade-off to being successful, right? So there are people who talk the talk, but don't. If that's you, I don't think it is, or else you wouldn't still be on the call. But if it is, then it wouldn't be necessarily for you. So if any of these sound like you, though, just don't do it. But if that's not you at all, then here's what I want you to know. I built this program specifically to get results. I work, like I said at the beginning, with like Warriors Heart and Fortune 500 companies, multi-million-dollar companies. I built this program specifically for them. I worked one-on-one with their team, right? But it doesn't make sense for smaller businesses and entrepreneurs to pay me the $20,000 to $50,000 it takes for me to come in and work with you one-on-one, which is why I had a lot of entrepreneurs and individuals coming to me going, is there another way? So we've taken this proven program over the last 5.5, probably close to 6 years now, and we've turned it into a group coaching program. And I want to make sure that this is done in such a way that your choice is not decided based on income, but instead based on what kind of impact this will make on your business and how it will help you share it with millions of people around the world. Right? Because what this program is designed to do is to increase your sales, unite your team, and most importantly, overcome the obstacles within your mind, the mind of your team, and the mind of your clients. You learn how to understand your client's mindset, their self-sabotaging limiting belief. You'll learn the first step to stopping them from vanishing. Over the years, I've been refining this process with clients and individuals such as yourself. This is just an example of one of the programs I did, the kind of results we got. This was with anything from artists to successful business professionals, all of which were at a point of desperation, not desperation, but serious challenges when they first joined the program. As you can see, in less than 12 weeks, we made $2.4 million in sales with only what, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 people? How? We focused on these 3 areas. See, I can guarantee this because this program will identify the very spot that is stopping you, the obstacle that is in your way. We'll refine your fundamentals. We'll tweak your sales process. We'll support you and build you up, set the environment and context and accountability to get you results. I'll give you an example though. This is Matthew. He's a young kid. He was in his 20s when I think he did this photo. He owned a fireworks company, wholesale company, over his head. Brilliant kid, but over his head. Was struggling. We brought him on, and in the program, he made 78% of his yearly sales in the first 3 months. Year after this program, he doubled his business. Again. How'd you like that kind of impact? This was a kid who knew nothing about business, but what he did have was determination, drive, and willing to commit and be held accountable to what he said he would do. Ultimately, that's really what it takes. The rest can be taught. So what would your future look like? What would the lives of your loved ones look like? What would be the lives of those you could influence and impact look like if you could make this kind of difference in your business in the next 3 months, the next 12 weeks, the next 90 days? What would it do? Let me know. Put it in the box below. It's a serious question. Like I said at the beginning, a lot of people guarantee results. But the part I've realized is, what happens if I don't? How will it affect me and those I care about if I don't do what it takes? Like, I love this. The commitment to take at least one action every day to get you closer to the goal. The proven way. Yes, that's exactly what I'm talking about. So how many of you said it would impact you thousands of dollars, tens of thousands, hundreds of thousands? Some of my clients, like I said, it was millions, but bigger business, right? Depends on where you're at. So for this program, the cost of it, $2,500 USD. And because I know this process works, I'm willing to back it with a guarantee. Meaning in the first 4 weeks of the program, for any reason, if you don't see it's a fit, you don't see the value, you don't see it getting you results, 100% money back guarantee. 4 weeks or less. Up to the 4-week mark, you can stop at any time. We'll refund your money. No questions asked. Almost every student I have makes more money in the first 4 weeks of the program to pay more than the program itself. So I'm really not too worried. But if for any reason you don't see the value, you don't see the results, that's fine. Just say so, full refund. But as if that wasn't enough, I'm just in the process of launching. Want to get this out there, make the switch. So for that reason, I'm giving $1,000 off for this launch. Right? But here's the thing. I've heard some things from Ivana. She obviously knows all of you. I've never met you before, but according to Ivana, you're action takers. She's told me that you're the type of individual who you implement the process, that you will do what you say you're going to do, that I don't have to hold your hand and babysit you and call you up on the phone just to get you to submit your numbers. Right? She's told me that you are the type of people and individuals who do what you say you're going to do and get results, which also tells me something else. It tells me you'll make great case studies, excellent testimonials. So what I'd like to do, providing you're an action taker, I'd like to offer you another $505 off. Why? Because I know I'm going to benefit in the end. When you get those results and people start coming to you and going, how did you get it that quickly? I know you're going to tell them about me. Does that sound fair? So it's only going to make it a win-win. So your price will be $9.95. But if you really want to get to the head of the class, if you truly want to get results, for the first 3 people, I'll also have a one-on-one call with you where we're going to set you up, make sure that you have the right sales cycle, get all the information in line for your avatar, to make sure that your systems are in place and find where the broken holes are prior to starting the call or within the first couple of weeks, depending on timing, so that we can make sure that when you get to that module, you can immediately focus on the thing that is really causing you the challenges and the obstacles. But that's only for the first 3 people. Frankly, my schedule just won't allow it anyone else. Ivana, you've seen yourself when you see my auto scheduler, right? It maybe there's 1 or 2 spots a week. I tend to keep a very full schedule. So for that reason, I can only offer to 3 people. So what you're going to get with the guarantee, my goal is that you have nothing to lose. If you don't make the $9.95 back in the first 4 weeks, ask for a refund. We'll take you to the program. We'll give you a full refund. No problem. If you don't see the value, that's fine. But here's what I know. You apply the program. You do what it takes. Oh, and here's the catch on the guarantee, though. You actually have to do the program. Does that sound fair? Now, if you're going to take this program, that you actually do the program, that you actually follow through with the action items, you make your commitment. Does that sound fair to everybody? Because that's how I can guarantee this will get you results. Guaranteed. All you have to do is go to getuncommonresults.com. If one of you could do me a favor, just type it in the chat box for me. getuncommonresults.com/results. The discount code is Ivana. Just so you know, right here, because a lot of people miss it, there's a little red button here. You just click that button, have a coupon, click it, type in Ivana. It will knock $1,505 off immediately, giving it to you for the reduced price. That's all you got to do. Just go to uncommonresults.com/results, coupon codes Ivana. Like I said, in this program, you're going to get access to our online portal, a live weekly 60 to 90 minute call, and the recordings will be uploaded to the portal. During the program, you'll be required to take action. There'll be 3 to 5 action steps each week. You're also going to get a bonus call on week 12 and a special gift for those of you who commit and follow through with all your actions. If you actually follow through and keep your word 100% throughout the program, I give you an additional bonus. All right? At the end of the call, like I said, there'll be 3 to 5 action items to help you develop your sales systems, your sales manual for those of you who want to build your team. That way you can get team members up to speed quickly. You'll also learn the process to train your team in the future. So even if you're not there yet, you're going to get the skills and abilities to do that so that when you are ready, when you're at that point, again, you can bring them up to speed quickly. And we're going to combine this process with accountability and support. All right, so that you receive it each week. You'll have direct access to me and my team through the messenger chat. All right. Every question is answered. Typically, we get a response within 24 hours, sometimes even quicker. It really depends on my schedule, right? So the whole goal is about building your habits and building your accountability to getting results. So go to the link, click on the chat bot, and you'll see it in the chat bot. Thank you, Ivana, for posting it. Use your code and secure your seat today. All right, Ivana, thanks. Yeah, team is great. Yeah, they're quick responses, eh? That's the reason why we put them all there, is that way if one's not available, the other one is. All right? Remember, when you do take action, you're going to get an immediate email. I need you to click that invite link. As soon as you get the email, go log into the portal, click the messenger. That will give you access to your team, me and my team, so you can get questions answered quickly. We answer those messages faster than emails. We try to get the emails quickly. That's usually a couple days. But as soon as you get access to the messenger, all of us see it, and my team kicks my ass to make sure I'm on top of everything. So don't you worry. We are there. Any questions you have, I'll be happy to answer them. To take yourself off mute, you can hit and hold the space bar. It will remove your mute. If you have any questions about the program, anything you learned through the program, let me know. I'm happy to help. Excellent. Well, thank you so much, everybody. As always, I appreciate your time and your energy and your effort. I look forward to seeing you on the program. It will start, next launch one will be March 9th, I believe it is. All the details will be in the program, and all recordings will be uploaded to the portal. Until next time, I'll see you soon. And if you have any questions, please reach out to me or reach out to Ivana.